Reddit what's the most chaotic good thing you've ever seen? Was out running in a park and saw some kid's dog running away from him straight towards me. It did not look like they were playing, but that the kid was actually struggling to get his dog back. I roared and charged straight at the dog, who immediately ran back to its owner. There was a cliff over the water we used to jump off of in high school. It was a well-known swimming hole and sometimes meth heads would hang out there. This one day about 30 of us were there and this one guy about 65 years old, but looked like a worse version of Tom Hanks in Castaway. Long nappy hair and beard, leather skin, and skinny. He had his own case of beer, but smelled of stale cigs and mold and meth. We leave him alone, he leaves us. He is just sitting at the top of the bluff watching and drinking. A group of us jump and as we are walking up the trail to the top there is a giant like 4 feet copperhead. Someone yelled out and this dude practically jumps down the rocks in 3 jumps and without even sizing up the situation, he just lunges at the snake, grabs it behind the head, lifts it above his head, and lets out the most primal scream I've ever heard. I can still perfectly see him holding that snake in his fist with its tails curling around his arm while screaming in his stained jorts and matted hair. It was amazing. Edit: I guess I left out the ending. He unwrapped the snake from his arm and launched the snake out in the water on the opposite side from where we were swimming and went right back to sitting and drinking. Didn't say a word to us. We kept telling him how awesome it was and he just kept nodding. You guys and gals probably would not believe this story, but here it goes. I have a relative, let us call him Jabba, that I would describe as the perfect example of neutral evil. He is always scheming and looking for ways to screw people, even his own family. Here is the most prime example I have yet personally seen of chaotic good just thwomping neutral evil. Jabba was going to move from one house to another and hired a cleaning lady to be paid under the table as her residential status was less than legal, to whip the house into shape so that it could be sold. It was a job that took over a month, and he kept putting off her payment. He is real good at bullshitting and stringing people along. Finally the house is done, but she is still not paid. He gives her excuses for a little while longer until one day, when she showed up at the door and I guess he decided to end his little game. He straight tells her, I ain't gonna pay you shit. What are you gonna do? Call the cops? You're an illegal and you will get your ass deported. BWA ha ha ha. She leaves and tries to enlist the help of a couple male family members to scare him into paying, but he just would not come to the door and thought it was funny, until one day, he was away from home for the entire day, and according to witnesses, a pickup truck and a few men showed up at the house. They were seen leaving the house with his big screen TV. They apparently got in through a window that had always had a bad lock, something the cleaning lady was very likely to have noticed. They left without taking or disturbing anything else at all, but the TV was his prized possession and coincidentally was worth about what he owed to the cleaning lady. They could have taken a lot of other things, including cash, but declined to do so. They basically took what they were owed. Jabba was furious and beside himself. He even cried about it. No one in the family felt sympathetic for him whatsoever. Was sent to an abusive group home for mentally ill teenagers. One guy would distract staff by asking for anxiety meds almost a couple times so we could pick the lock to steal food so people would not starve. R.I.P. Zach. This happened while I was in 5th grade, at my elementary school. If you did not have money to buy a lunch, you got the poor kid's lunch. It was a PBJ, a milk, and a piece of whatever fruit we had that day. That is it. It was a really shitty lunch too. Nobody liked having it. One of the other 5th graders usually had the PBJ shitty lunch, and she was getting really tired of eating it every day. So one of the 5th grade boys broke into the lunch lady's office, stole the paper records for Punch Dues. This was in the mid-90s, before those things were moved to paperless, and edited the girl's account balance to say she had like 30 on it. The same boy did that like 3 more times before he got caught, so the girl went several months without having to eat the shitty no-money lunch. Back in the day I went to Blockbuster to get a copy of the DVD extended edition of Lord of the Rings. It was a big deal at the time and I was worried it would be sold out. Stoner clerk told me that they were sold out but that the only one we have is the copy my boss told me to put aside for him. But he's always telling me to put customers first, so here you go. Thank you, Stoner clerk. I witnessed a bartender slowly wean an alcoholic regular off of whiskey by reducing the amount of Jack in his Jack and Cokes, at the request of the man's wife. The guy discovered that he was not even drinking to drink, he was just in it for the ritual of the thing, and so he kept coming in to hang out, shoot the shit, play some darts, and have a few Cokes. I remember in middle school there was a lunch lady who would ever so slightly overcook cookies or pizza or fries from the snack line so that she could say that they were not suitable to sell, and then she would give them to the kids who were getting the shitty meal because they had no money in their lunch accounts. I was driving to work once and ran into dead-stopped traffic in a spot that I normally would not. A dude had his SUV stopped sideways across most of both lanes, one lane each way, to block traffic while he was picking up a turtle and bringing it across the road. Ducked up everyone's commute for a few minutes just to save the turtle. Lots of people were honking and yelling but he did not even flinch or say anything. Got back in his car and drove off, never to be seen again. When I was in high school, there was one kid who was about a foot taller than everyone in the class and built like a rhino. He would beat up kids every day for no reason and would get away with it because no one would do anything about it. One day we had a casual teacher spot him from across the school beating on some younger kids. This teacher ran at him and hit him like a train, flipped this kid like an egg. The bully left the school a few weeks later and the teacher lost his job, but he will always be remembered as the one who saved the school. I have been out of school now for a few years and it still comes up in conversation. My late best friend was super into drinking whiskey and snorting coke. He got his tax return and decided to drink a fifth and do an 8-ball. And disappeared. About 6 hours later we hear something by the trash cans, and it is Pat with 2 full bags of litter. He walked the entire neighborhood twice picking up all the trash including the cigarette butts. A notorious grade school bully ripped my Game Boy Color with Pokemon Red out of my hands and said gimme that. While I was headed to the back of the school bus, in defeat, I waddled to my seat and started to cry just thinking about how I was going to explain to my mom that my birthday gift had been stolen. But before I could let out an audible whimper, he marches back and tosses my Game Boy in my lap casually and says, "Here you go, crybaby, have a look," laughing, while pocketing a Game Genie and walking away. Through hot tears I looked at my screen and saw a brand new Pokédex enter Mew during the height of all the playground SS and truck rumors. I was confused and happy all at once, but just mostly glad he was not going to kick my butt. If you are reading this, Big Divine, you were not all that bad after all. Edit I a word. Side note, that bully grew up to be a fire captain in my hometown. Absolute unit, that guy. Once a year, there is this old gentleman who buys out the entire Alamo Drafthouse in Kansas City, all 6 theaters, and makes it an admission-free day for everyone to come see the movies. Since his wife died watching one of their favorite movies there, he is really chill about it too, does not show up in person or ask for anything. Some homeowners were sick of people illegally dumping trash on a corner of their street, graffiting the area too. So as a kinda joke, they put up a Buddha in that corner in an effort to stop people from trashing the area. Kinda hippie positive vibes, cure the area of the negativity or whatever. Turned out the Vietnamese community appreciated the gesture so much they cleaned up the area, started making offerings, pilgrimages to the illegally dumped statue. Was driving 130 km/h, the legal limit here on a 2-lane highway, just about to overtake a small van that was right behind a truck, when at the last second the driver in the van just sways into the left lane, forcing me to choose between swerving to the left a bit while braking hard or basically have a high-speed car crash straight away. So I regained control of my car and out of frustration honked once to let the guy know I was there, and he just nearly killed both of us. thinking he must have not seen me because no sane human being would do that otherwise. Wrong. Instantly the guy decides to brake check me, while refusing to pass the truck to keep us both there while he kept braking and braking again. He eventually even passed the truck and went to the right lane to lull me into thinking he had calmed down, only to slam his van back to the left as soon as I did nearly pass the truck and start the whole process again. At this point I had kind of settled into my fate and accepted I did be stuck behind this truck until the lunatic in front of me would calm down and decide to move on. All of a sudden a driver in a pretty fast Audi that had ended up behind me due to Mr. Brake Check slowing down traffic had enough of this whole mess. He overtook the truck using the emergency lane, quickly overtook the van man and decided to pull the mother of all brake checks on this guy, literally forcing him off the right side of the road by instantly cutting off any route the guy could take without hitting the Audi that was now in front of him. I took this opportunity to finally pass the truck and resume my journey while in my rear view mirror I saw a cloud of dust where the van had come to a stop somewhere beside the road, unscathed as far as I could see. A minute later, while I was sitting behind my wheel, somewhat baffled at the events I had just witnessed, the vigilante road justice warrior in his Audi pulled up to me on the left lane, gave me a quick nod, and quickly accelerated off into the distance. My dad's mom was super abusive, tried to start a cult, beat and neglected her kids, just an all-around awful person. Once she was on her deathbed, she was unable to talk or really communicate effectively, and she hated Catholics, so my dad had it arranged that every day, a Catholic priest would come in and pray over her. It was not really proportional to the amount of suffering she caused in her life, but it was pretty damn funny. We have a few technically illegal graffiti artists around town, who all have different tags. They also seem to have different territories, as you only see one tag in any specific area. A lot of us love their work, and they all keep it G-rated so the city property owners never mind it. Then, overnight, an extremely racist drawing appeared on a black business owner's front windows, along with a tag from a guy we will call Jay. It was quickly removed, but understandably many people became worried about the graffiti artists in general. Over the next few days, Jay's entire territory was plastered with drawings from different tags. They covered every bit of his work with puppies, rainbows, cupcakes, anything considered cute. Each time he did a new one, it was covered up the next night. Eventually he stops trying, and his territory remains a sort of neutral zone. A woman was walking around our apartment complex sticking printed out MLM flyers on people's cars. Guy followed her about 100 yards back, collecting them up again. Used to be a bouncer at a popular music venue bar. I worked the door for a Gorgol Bordello show. I had never heard of them, but it was a sellout show. They call themselves Gypsy Punk Rock. Anyways, I have never confiscated so many pocket knives in my life, and everyone was really cool about leaving them with us or taking them to their car. Show starts and I move up front kind of like an Overwatch position. Band starts to get crazy and the entire crowd is in a cyclone mosh pit. The drummer is crowd surfing and people are going ape shit. I see this tiny woman 21 plus bar and she is enjoying herself, but she falls down in the middle of a mosh pit. And unlike anything else I have seen, like half the crowd completely stops and gives her space and gets her back up and they all start going again, her included. This happened 2 or 3 more times with the same polite and cautious outcome. I was in awe. Gypsies are nice, smelly, but nice. Amazing concert too. The Stop a Douchebag movement going on in Russia, where members patrol areas where drivers are parking illegally using sidewalks for roads etc. and ask them to turn around or move their car. If they refuse, they slap an enormous douchebag sticker with heavy-duty adhesive across the windshield. They have a YouTube channel as well where you can watch it in action. Consider subscribing if you enjoyed this video and if you want to see more of Reddit Universe.